Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the Gas build. So the idea behind these videos will be documenting the bike, all the parts that are fitted to it, to give you a real world opinion of things rather than a paid journalist's look at things. So we're going to try and get some regular guys, some racers and some even professional guys to ride this bike and give their feedback on the bike, the mods, what they do, what they like, what they don't like. Basically give you guys a real world perspective of the good, the bad and the ugly of the new gas bikes. So to start off with the look of the bike, I think it is quite an ugly looking bike. The headlight shroud looks like something from the early 2000s and the complete red seat. I'm not a fan of the colour scheme or how they laid things out. At the end of the day, who cares? It's a dirt bike. We're not really after looks. So the first step was to take the bike down to its frame. The idea behind that was to get a lot of the rego gear off, not going to need that, and fit some aftermarket products. So all the fittings are KTM, all the nuts and bolts are KTM, so very easy to work on, easy to get the tank off and things like that. So it's quite easy to get the front plate off. It's just a plug and play setup, and just rip the indicators off, and then I was going to put some graphics on. So I ripped the indicator switch block off because I'm not going to use that. I'll leave the tail light and headlight on because for some enduro races we actually have to have them on. But everything else will go. Now there's a few parts which I think no one in their right mind would take a bike out into the bush without. For me, radiator braces is the biggest one. It's quite easy to crush a radiator on these bikes, even by a simple drop. So Max from Northern Performance put me onto these Enduro Engineering braces, which were very easy to fit up and quite strong and bulletproof looking. So they should keep the radiators strong and protected. Another thing I'm a big believer in is the in-tank fuel sock. It just helps filter anything from your jerry can or the Bowser before it goes into your tank. The fuel injection pumps on these are quite sensitive, so anything you can do to stop crap getting into the filter and then the pump is just going to help you in the long run. So quite easy to remove and disassemble the taillight assembly. There's a couple of 6 and 8mm bolts and just a bunch of quick connect plugs to pull off. So down the rear end of the bike, just removing this chain guard Same thing, it's just put on there for ADR regulations in Australia, but it's not really that useful, and it just kind of gets in the way and breaks easy. It'll be interesting to see how these chain sliders last. I know on other KTM models they wear out quite quick, and normally I put a set of aftermarket ones on, but I'll run these for a fair bit of time first and give you guys a bit of an idea of the wear rate on them. Now another trick to do here is to fill this bolt hole with a bit of silicone. It stops all your crud and crap from getting up in there and building up in there. And if you ever do need to remove that slider, it's quite easy just to pick the silicone out rather than a corroded bolt that's been rusted over time. So I need numbers for racing anyway, so I got him to do some tank shrouds as well, because the graphics are injection molded on the gases, same as the KTMs, and they can be quite expensive to buy, so I put on some aftermarket Acherbys tank shrouds and some graphics over the front of them. Another very important piece of equipment is a bash plate. I don't know any real enduro rider who would take a bike out the bush without a bash plate on. It's so easy to smash a case or dent a frame rail. I chose the Acherbys model just because I don't like the alloy bash plates. I don't like the noise they make when they hit things, and they make a weird engine noise. And I believe that the plastic versions are stronger and less chance of denting or damaging anything. On the alloy versions, I have dented frame rails before. So plenty of good cover with this bash plate and should keep everything protected. Now up top in the controls, I'm a bit picky in the sense of I don't like the stock ODI grips. I'm not a fan of the lock-ons. I think they give the bike a more rigid and a bit more vibration through the handlebars. So I always run a set of Pro Taper grips in the soft compound. Now while I'm in the throttle housing, I'm replacing the stock throttle body with the black one that comes. The grey version gives the bike a longer throttle pull, which based on previous bikes I've used, I really don't like the feel of it. It makes it a long throttle. I like quite a short and aggressive throttle response. So that's just a preference for me. Now, the gases don't come with hand guards, which I think is very disappointing from Gas. It would have purely been done for a cost, to keep the cost down. Now, I was sold these K-Future Acherbys hand guards that would fit. They don't fit. They require some modifications to make them fit properly. So where this red area is, you actually need to cut that out to make the handguard fit properly. If you do this mod, it'll allow you to fit KTM handguards as well. And then I just had to use the KTM bolt that comes with the KTM handguards. It's got like a threaded collar on it. But with a little bit of mods, they actually fit quite well. And I think they look good. I don't like the clamp-on bark busters. I like them to mount up to the brake unit. Another trick I do to all my bikes is to put a bit of thread tape or pipe sealant tape on the handlebar where each clamp goes on. That way it helps the clamp slide if you have a crash rather than snapping. So it allows you to tighten them up a bit more, but the slipperiness of the tape allows them to slip and slide around. Right, so to give you some background on me, I'm a expert class racer, so probably a fast clubman, slow expert, which I would just class as an average racer, and probably an above average rider. So for the past 10 years, I've only owned KTMs. I've ridden or owned pretty much every bike in that KTM Enduro range, and the bike I always wanted to own was the 350. I've ridden a few mates over time and I really enjoyed that bike. That's why I went for the 350. Now, I stayed with the KTM group, as they say, because I have a lot of spare parts and a lot of my suspension will fit onto the 350. So I'm coming off a 2017 KTM 500. I love that bike for the desert and the wide open stuff, but in the last few months I've really found it's not that fun in the tight single trail. To me, it's just too much bike. I wouldn't say I'm an unskilled rider or a small person. I'm 6'1", 95, 100 kilo. So it's not like I'm a small guy, and I still find that 500 just too much bike. So that's enough talking for this episode. The bike is ready for its first ride. I'll be heading out tomorrow, so do some filming and come back and give you guys like a 1 hour review, as well as talk some more about the reasons why I went to this bike over a KTM or a Husky. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.